The end of the season has come. We've got to get all this ore out that we bagged up previously. We're going to check on our blast and get that cleaned up for our last round of the season. And I'm really excited because I have a previous gold miner that worked this mine in the late 70s and early 80s, and he's going to tell us some stories. We're going to talk about the history of the mine. So I hope you enjoy this end of the season video. We have been working all season stockpiling our ore in these 50 or 60 pound bags. We've been working on our heading here. Still got a little ways to go on that one. But on today's video, we got to get all these bags out of here, down to the blacksmith shop, and into the truck. Harry's demonstrating the first stage here. We're going to get 8 or 10 bags on these carts. Oh, one more. See that will stay there. Okay. So that's our first handling of the bags since we put them in the bags with the cone. Got them on the cart. I'm going to push them about 150 feet down this old track to the top of the transferway. So we've got 75 sandbags stacked up here at the top of the transferway. So now I'm gonna kick them down this chute. Ready, Harry? Ready. Sandbag. Here it comes. Big bag. Don't blow up. Got it. Nice. Okay, we got to do that 400 more times. We're at the top of our main raise. Harry's going to start sending bags down. We're going to see the whole process. So that raise goes down about 50 feet. And we've got sandbags stacked up behind Harry like crazy. This one's got a hole in it. I'll take care of him at the bottom. In the buoy they go. Down. Touchdown. Come on down. There we go. Touchdown. We can do 2 bags at a time, which is about 100 to 120 pounds a load. We've got a small pulley here on top of the buoy now, and so it's a lot more efficient than last year, but still not the best way to do this. Well, my light's real angry and almost dead. I've got 10 bags on that cart. I've got 80 bags staged here right at the bottom of the raise. And I've got 10 bags on this cart. And that's about 500 or 600 pounds. One hand, I can just push it right out along our track. It's about 400 and, hold on, it's about 550 feet, I think, to the truck from the bottom of the raise. So it's quite a haul. But we just push it out on our little tiny wheels. And does it work good? This is our first full load of ore down the hill. We have 160 bags on the truck. That's about 4 tons. I had to go buy a new truck. I got a dump truck now, so I can haul all this ore down. I've got more in the mine I got to get to, but I am really excited to get this down, mill it up, see how much gold it has in it. And if you guys are interested, it's listed on eBay, so check it out. We're just finishing scaling back into our spot here. And I think we got a hole that we can make work for us back there. Well, here's our face. We got a hole kind of going, but you can see there's some ampho still shoved in there, and cap tubes. So those need to get washed out, but you're seeing our slip. It's just broken clay, googe, nasty. It's 2, 3, 4 inches thick in some places. It's just really irritating. So we need to get those washed out real good. See what the caps look like in the bottom. But here's what you're seeing, the shock tube at the bottom of the hole. The hole's cleaned out and it just pulls right out of there. But boy, look, it's mangled pretty good. Gotta wash him out a little more. But we got all our info out of the face. That's what we want. So now we can work on getting the rest of these holes cleaned out. I also think we measured, here's our pink paint. It'd be hard to get any depth perception of the video, but we're about 4.5 feet down to the face now, which is the length of our steel. So we've gone our full round now, which is awesome. Again, that's the bottom of the holes, so that makes sense. So now we just got to come in and shoot the rest of these and clean this up. And we'll this is the hardest 4.5 feet we've ever done.
This is a true statement.
We just went from, I don't know, bad to worse, or worse to worser, or just as bad as we were, I don't know. So the bottom 8 holes, there's just a huge void back there that it's just taking ampho and ampho and ampho and ampho. You can't fill it up. These top 6 or 8 holes, they should go and open this up, but I have no idea what we're going to do about the bottom there. So who knows? I'll look it up. We'll shoot it, and this is just the round that will not die here. So very irritating, very frustrating. The season's coming to a close, and I'd hate to end it on something like this. Okay, last blast of the season. Well, it appears that the third time was a charm. We finally got this slippy round to go. And so we were back here scaling. We're just gonna leave it just like this for next year. We're out of time. The compressor's gotta go back. Harry's gotta go back. And it's about to snow. So future us has some muck work to do, but at least we got a fairly nice face now, and just a whole bunch of muck here we got to deal with next year. So that is it for drilling and blasting. Now we got to get our bags out and get the ore down the hill. Our bag pile is dwindling here. We've probably got 100 more to go there, so got all this nice ore stuff that I'm really excited to cut up. Look at that Mount Baker lightning quartz. Beautiful stuff. It's the final hours of mucking here. We're getting the last bit of good high-grade ore off the ground that we did from our very first blast of the season. We've got those bags we got to get down, and we are almost done here. I've got a lot of exciting stuff I'm going to do with this ore in future videos, so stay tuned for that. But I've also got a lot of these bags of ore for sale on eBay, so if you're interested in getting some of my ore, check out the eBay listings. The link is in the description below. And I also have a few surprises on my eBay listings, so go check those out. But we're going to get some gold out of this later in the season. You are witnessing the very last sandbag of the 2024 season. There's the last, I don't know, dozen. Oh, that is a lot of work. 2 guys. We moved over 400 sandbags out of here in what, 2 days?
Yeah.
If we would have gotten that raise, it would have been so much easier.
Next year.
Next year.
You have to wait till next season.
Man. Yeah, that's what we were just going for that raise, If we could have hit the raise, it would have been better. But we had to use our old system. Down the track, 162 feet, 15 feet down the transferway, 86 feet out the transferway to the raise, down the 52-foot raise to the bottom, loaded on another cart, and it goes out 525 feet to the truck.
Then another 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Then another 2 hours down to the white tent.
Yeah.
Whereas if we could have got to this raise, it would have been 40 feet to the raise, down the raise, 350 feet out to the truck. Would have cut our travel time in more than half.
At least 75% faster.
One raise instead of two transfers, and next year is going to be the year. I've been waiting to get these down. These are two really nice big pieces. A lot of sulfides, banding, that good stuff we look for. Let's see if I can get these guys down and get them in the rock saw. I think these are going to make some beautiful slab pieces. Got them on our cart. And we'll push them down the track to the raise. Sure beats carrying them, I'll tell you that. Well, they're pretty big and they're a little bit fragile, so I'm going to carry them down the raise and then out to the truck. Last load of the year. Headed out to the truck. All right, guys. The ore carts are empty. The truck is loaded. Into the fog. But check this out before I go. Once I got into the light, huge telluride crystals all right along in here. So there's some really nice gold right in that band right there. Can't wait to get it cut open. Hey guys, we're back at the mine one more time. The snow is here, you can see it on the deck, and I am really excited today because I have a guy with me who's going to come along and tell us a bunch of stories about when he was mining up here back in the late 70s and early 80s. When you were here, what did you use the blacksmith shop for? Just storage, pretty much? Because when I came in a couple of years ago, it's rail and bent up stuff and steel and junk.
That rail had come from the mill. We hauled the rail and a bunch of airline that was down at the mill up here.
Really?
Use it, yeah.
Oh, okay. So the steel airline, we hacked out a bunch of steel airline that was here run back 75 or 100 feet. That was you
Yeah.
reusing the old steel airline. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. So for those of you who haven't seen the first year's video, we're gonna walk along the mine in from the blacksmith shop to the stope, and we're gonna talk about things probably not in chronological order. But there was a gate or a concrete poured a dam.
Yeah, we dammed it.
Tell us about the dam.
We dammed it because our goal was to flood the mine so we could bring a little sluice in and vacuum up the bottom.
Just dredge the whole floor.
Dredge the whole floor, because our experience was if you wanted to get color, you just had to go get a pan full of dirt out of the floor and you could always get color.
Yeah, okay.
And so the thought was, if you could dredge this, you can get enough to have a little gold and make something exciting.
Yeah, okay.
The problem with that was that you really needed a high pressure water source, which we didn't have. We hadn't run the water line yet. After that we ran a water line, but we needed a high pressure water source because you had to have some way to stir up the stuff. There was so much wood material in it, it would plug up the pump.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't run it like a normal sluice. You couldn't run a little vacuum dredge. It didn't work. It was just too goopy and too much wood and crap.
So you need to get it cleaned out, flushed down.
You needed some way stir it up. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
You really needed a high pressure washer.
So you never did. So all the gold on the floor is still on the floor.
Still on the floor.
Still on the floor.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Why? you remember how short it is in here?
Yeah. When we first came in the mine, this spot right here was completely, essentially plugged with wadded up airline and track.
Just watered up, all tied up in knots and.
Yeah, it was like a big snarling mess. Because what happened when they tried to destroy the mine in '64?
The Forest Service. Forest. We talked about this on the way up. They burned a bunch of buildings. You said.
Yeah.
And they
And
tried
what
to.
had happened was some Boy Scouts had discovered there was still powder stored in the powder magazine, and the forest said, "Oh, we got to deal with that." So they brought the army in. I don't know how much explosive they brought, but they packed a bunch of whatever around this old powder and torched it off. Well, what it did was it blew all the track and all the airline down to this point, and it didn't make the corner.
Oh, it just watered it up. It just ripped it all up off the floor.
Yep.
And made a big snarled rat's nest.
You
here.
could just barely get around it. You had to crawl around it to get around it.
How'd you get rid of it?
We spent a couple of days with a cutting torch and cut it all out.
Oh, man. That must have been not a fun job.
No, I wasn't. As you've noticed, there's enough airflow in this mine. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's just sitting here all day with the cutting torch, cutting out steel.
Yeah. You'll find most of it down that way.
Oh, you just shoved it down that hole? Yeah, okay.
Which comes out at the end of the other entrance.
Yeah, that's where the mill was. That's where the old mill was. So this is the first, I've always wondered about this because this goes out to the surface. It's caved now. It's about 75 or 100 feet, something like that. And then this one goes back to the blacksmith shop, again, 75 feet or so. This one, they followed this vein. There's a vein right here that they intersected, and they followed that all the way out to the surface.
Why don't they follow it in?
They followed it in.
Probably.
So why build this at all? Why not put the blacksmith shop out there? And because this is a heck of a lot of work to put this in. Well, there's no vein or anything there.
I think because they built the mill out there. They tried to build the mill at the entrance right there. And the snow took it off. We got to be over farther.
Oh, I see. And so they did the blacksmith shop here and just did this for access.
Yeah, because then they use this for access to get to their tramway to get to the mill. But I suspect that's what happened.
So you think they put the tramway at the end of the blacksmith shop tunnel?
Yep.
Once the mill got taken out by the snow. Ah, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's what my guess. But again, that's that transition of ownership there in the teams and whatever, I suspect.
Yeah, solving other people's problems and screw ups and that kind of stuff.
And that's always the question. Have you sampled? I don't.
The samples that I've seen done in the past, this vein is pretty much barren.
Yeah.
There's not much going on here. There's a real interesting spot right up here I want to get your opinion on. So this spot is always fascinating to me because we're going to turn around and look at the wall here. That's where we're just coming from, and there's a vein there that's pretty much barren. But then there's another vein right up here, Tom. You see that one? You know about this one.
Yeah.
Grant sampled it in the 80s. There's gold in it. It's bigger, and it's kind of parallel to this other one. 6 feet or something, horse to waist in between it. The old miners drifted out there 75 feet on vein the whole way. There's some gold in it. One of the richest rocks I've ever seen in this mine, Tom.
Yeah.
Came right off the ceiling up there when we were putting these timbers in.
Yeah.
I was scaling the back and I dropped a couple pieces and I told the guys, hey, that looks pretty good. We better save that. And they picked it out and saved it for me. I went and cut it and it was full of gold. So there's this, my theory, and I'm going to do this sometime in the future, is this vein has the gold, this vein doesn't. And so I'm gonna come back in here and mine this upper vein. Is it just like you remember it?
Yeah.
Cold and wet and dark, huh?
Yeah.
We're coming through our transferway now. There's our chute where we send our bags down. We'll be at the stope in a minute here. Now, when you were back up in here, you guys sampled all over the stope, right?
Yeah.
And we all know about the super hot spot here that behind us where we're working. Was there anywhere else you remember that was real good?
One of these big pillars. We took a good sample of it.
Okay.
And there's a piece of vein that way past that pillar that wasn't too bad. Wasn't really good, but it
had some show in it.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that we've talked about a little bit is the stope right in here is dipping about 25 degrees down to the south.
Yeah.
And then the room that we're working in where it's real hot is pretty much flat.
Yeah.
And so something happened to the vein there. It changed attitude, changed dip, got folded, something.
Yeah. And the best was where you're working, or the two faces there.
Yeah. Yeah, both had a lot of gold. And who did all your sampling?
Rudy was the best sampler. He was really good at high grade.
Really good at high grading. You always got the best samples when Rudy took them, huh? Yeah. But this is as far as we got. If you look down the drift, we're about 24 feet from the collar where you're sitting. About 24 feet. I think we got about another 14 or 15 feet to go.
And your expectation is that you're going to hit that fault first. Is that the point?
I think so. I'm hoping we're
You
gonna.
haven't drawn it all out. Come on.
I have drawn it out, and
Right.
and my hope is that we hit the fault and the raise at the same time.
That would be ideal.
That would be ideal. But I know that the fault is over there and it's a plane. So if I go a little bit shallow and I hit the fault first, I can follow the fault 10 feet, 5 feet, whatever I need to do to hit the raise. So I would drift out here. If I hit the fault first, then I turn left. So if I come into the fault too shallow, I hit it and turn left. If I come at a steeper angle and I miss the raise, then I do have to come backwards. Okay. So it all depends on where in 3D space that I hit the raise or the fault. Well, I'm back in what I refer to as Muck Mountain here. I'm going to get some samples. And the way I'm going to do this is just kind of close my eyes and just start grabbing muck and put it in the bag. And I'm not trying to high grade it or do anything in particular. I just want to see if there's any value in this waste. So I'll get half a bag and we'll take it down and get it assayed. Well, goodbye mine. Until next year. Have a good winter sleep. We're going to use this 16 by 12 hammer mill here behind me. We're going to crush up some of our gold ore. We're going to get it fine, liberate all the gold. Then we're going to take it over and do a little test pan, figure out how much gold per ton we have. Now I know a lot of you guys have been asking, when am I going to process my gold? Here in the next video or two, we're going to process 3 or 4 tons of this gold ore, pour some gold bars, and see how much gold I have in my gold mine. It's quite difficult to record this process by yourself, but I got a few shots with one hand of me feeding the hammer mill. The hammer mill has a 0.8 millimeter slotted screen in it, 20 swinging chrome hammers that crush up the ore in the chamber. Once the ore gets small enough to go through the slots in that screen, it comes out the bottom into the super sack here, ready for bagging. The hammer mill crushes about 70% passing 30 mesh and about 50% passing 50 mesh. And for more information on our equipment, you can check out our website, send us an email, or give us a call. And here's a little bit better view of it all crushed up. It does a really good job of pulverizing that stuff. Just a short little update on our ore bagging situation. We got the ore bagging line set up here. We're getting our run-of-mine material. We're bringing it over.
Oh, good.
Good, weighing them out to 25 pounds. And then we're zip tying them over here. So far we've got 80 bags in, I don't know, an hour and a half, something like that. So we're doing good. I got a bunch of stuff here that I crushed up through the hammer mill. This is that fine ore that a lot of you guys have been asking about. And I've got 2 super sacks full. So we got to get bagged up. So this will go quick. So if you guys want a bag or 2 or 3, go get it now. But now let's do a test pan, figure out how much gold we got. Well, this is pretty exciting. This will be the first pan I've done of the ore this year. I'm going to use this as kind of a little bit of a tutorial as well of how I pan this stuff, give you guys some pointers for panning and processing if you're going to get a bag or two from me on eBay. The first thing, get a tub, fill it up with enough water that you can sink your pan, all the way down into it so you can wet all your material. In the water, I added some soap to help break the surface tension. It gets rid of all the oils and stuff in there so your gold won't float, especially this really, really fine hard rock ore, or this hard rock gold will tend to float right down at the very end if you have a little bit of oil in your water. So you want to use some soap to get rid of that. This is a little bit different than prospecting in the creeks or the rivers looking for flakes. This hard rock ore is extremely fine and extremely hard to pan. So more than anything, you really have to be careful and just go slow, and you're gonna want to pan the tailings again to see if you lost anything. You will find probably more gold in the tailings. Even myself, I've been panning this stuff most of my life. I still lose gold panning. The way I like to do it is get everything nice and stratified and fluid. You want to do short, hard, quick shakes like this to get everything. You don't want stuff sloshing all over the place, lose material. And then I dip it in and wash out. It's very gentle. The movement is very slow. I'm barely moving my fingers or my wrists at all, and I'm just letting the water come in and out just like a wave at the beach. So it's coming in, washing off the lighter material. We're already seeing some darker stuff here on the edge of the pan. So I don't want to get too far down into our stratified material yet. So I'm going to do anywhere between 5 and 10 washes like this until you're kind of comfortable with it. And then we're going to start the whole process over. This pan, even if I wasn't filming this pan would probably take me somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. It's not a quick process. Take your time. And if you end up with a 25-pound bag of ore, crushed ore, you've got hours of entertainment. Don't rush it. Just be very, very methodical in this, because the gold is so fine that you will lose some, and so you just gotta really, really be patient here. I'm quite impressed looking at this. Most of this is quartz. There's very, very little wall rock contamination in here. There's a few larger pieces that are dark color, but this is really, really clean stuff. Now the other trick that I've learned is you saw the gold in the corner here. There was no gold in the corner here. So what I like to do is I really want the gold right down in the middle. So I will shake it around this way, and then I will shake it back, trying to settle the gold down at the bottom of the crease. And now, if I did it right, we shouldn't see much gold in the corners. There's still a little bit showing here. It actually runs all the way up that crease. I didn't shake it hard enough. I can still see it. So let's do it this way. We'll just shake it back over that crease. If you can't beat them, join them. That's what I say. We'll put the stuff over the gold rather than try to move the gold under the stuff. Okay, now we're down to mostly sulfides. This is the huge majority of these sulfides is the pyrrhotite that you saw in the previous videos, that black kind of shiny stuff. There is a little bit of cubic pyrite in our ore and a little bit of chalcopyrite. I expect what happens is when we crush it, both of those things are very, very hard to distinguish from the pyrrhotite. So when I'm talking about the sulfides, I'm talking about the iron sulfide pyrrhotite and pyrite, and the copper iron sulfide chalcopyrite. Let's take a look here. It's out here in the light a little bit better. Now let's do a little swirl see what we got. There's the silver tellurides there. I'm going to do a little bounce right at the edge of the pan here, and that will help stratify the gold. I hope you can see that. Maybe I want to be behind like this. That may be a little bit better. Ooh, nice yellow smile though. Maybe this is not the best. Hold on. I can't decide where I want to show you the gold. This is better. I think we have a little bit lower light but less glare here. There is the gold. A nice little yellow smile. The bigger white flakes are the tellurides. You can see the silverier stuff here, the darker stuff here. My question has been, I'm going to do this on a future video, but I think there's gold chemically tied up with the tellurides here. So we see the yellow gold, the nice yellow free gold, but I also think if you roasted these, you would drive off the tellurium and there would be gold down in that silver band as well. There's the gold and the tellurides hanging out right together there. A couple of nice bigger pieces of gold. And then it fades out. Again, the bigger gold kind of hangs out with the tellurides. It rolls around a little bit in the water. But this is all tellurides here, all the way across. And some gold has gotten down here as well. Oh, even there's a piece. I'm telling you, this stuff is hard. It's tricky. The gold in this stuff can be odd shaped and it will roll. Sometimes it's little wires, sometimes it's little balls, and it'll roll around in the pan, not like that flat, flaky, nuggety stuff you find in the creeks. Well, there you have it, guys. That pan for me did not disappoint. I'm really excited to see gold in the pan, and I think that means that our ore really turned out well this year. If you're interested in some of this stuff, you can find it on eBay. I got a link in the description below. I'm getting cleaned up at the mine and getting stuff down out of here before it snows. But before I do, I wanted to do a quick wash down of the vein, check out some of the structural geology going on that may help answer some questions about how the gold was emplaced and where we can look for some super hot spots in the future. The big question for me is how to identify where the hot spots are, where those pockets are. You got the tellurium crystals growing big, you got big gold. That's what I want to figure out, how to identify them and where they are. There's something structurally controlling the mineralization here. I just can't quite figure it out yet. You have that really nice, well-defined hanging wall where the second generation of quartz came through with all the gold and the tellurium. And man, if we can nail down where that gets big and fat, that's where we're going to hit the big, nice pockets of gold. And so what we did here on our drift is our first 3 or 4 shots, we just plowed right through that super high grade spot right over there. And it all went in the muck. It all went in the bags. So I'm going to take a little bit of time here and wash down the vein in a little section of the older stope, kind of right next door to where we're working. But you can see I've done this stuff. The vein shows up really nice. I've got all this stuff over here. It's all just dirty. You can't really see. I'm really interested to see if there's some more high-grade stuff that the old guys left in the face that's been sitting here for 100 years and no one's been able to see it. I'm also looking for vein splits and things like that. We're going to do our best here to show you what I got. I've washed down the vein. We're kind of in a little room here, so I'm just going to pan around and you can see the vein all the way around the room. And it's answered some questions and probably posed quite a bit more. So the vein here is maybe 16, 18, 20 inches, somewhere in there. Kind of swells out going that way. And there's a real nice defined hanging wall. There's a little split right here. I don't know if split's the right word. A secondary emplacement from here down, and then you got wall rock underneath. This is a little bit closer up view of it. So you've got a vein emplacement from here down, and then you've got another emplacement from here up, and there may actually be a third from here to the hanging wall. I'm not sure if this section of quartz came in and split these two. You can tell this lower one has all kinds of wall rock pieces in it, stuff that's entrained in it. I don't see hardly any mineralization in any of it. It's just, I'm assuming it was the first initial rip through a quartz. It ripped through and entrained a bunch of wall rock in it. And then you have this other emplacement here, which is more milky white, but you see these real faint bands of gray. It runs all the way across, right across there. That's that telluride band, and that's where the gold is. The gold hangs out with that telluride band. Now the question is, how do we find that band and what's it associated with? So in this section, you have a little piece up on the hanging wall that doesn't appear to have the band in it. You have a middle section from here to about here that the band is right up here on the hanging wall of that section, right? You got a real nice defined wall contact here, and the tellurides are in this middle section. The lower section with the entrained wall rock doesn't seem to have much in it. As you come around the corner, you continue to see that those three pieces. You have the section in the middle here that has the gold. There's a nice well-defined break. The upper section kind of grades into the hanging wall a little bit. It's not very well defined here. And then this secondary bottom section where you actually have a little horst of waste that this quartz was emplaced. It took some waste, and then you have the gold-bearing quartz. As you come down, that contact dips pretty steeply, maybe 10, 15 degrees, and then does a little whoop-de-doo and flattens out right down there. But then look what happens right here. You come around this corner right at the change of the dip to flat, and you start getting this milky white quartz again. You can see it start to come in right there, and it blooms out right here. See that? How it just pinches right down, whoop, right to nothing. The dip changes, it goes up the hill, and then right up there, it comes back. I don't know if that's in focus up there or not. Right there. That's where it comes back. So you have this, the gold fluids, the rich fluids get pinched out right there, and then they start to bloom out again right here. And as you come across here, you can start to see, right over here is a good spot. You have this gray band of tellurides right there, and there's a little piece of gold right in there. It's too small to worry about. But you've got your values back, and you've got the stuff below you right here, waste rock in it, a little bit of waste here, pieces, a little bit of sulfides in it now. You've got your gold-bearing quartz, and then a contact. You've got some sulfides, and then again, it kind of grades into the hanging wall. The interesting part is, as you come around the corner, are kind of milky white quartz. From here, it swells, and then it kind of pinches again. And it pinches right up there. It's about 6 inches wide right here. But as you come around the corner, this is our current drift. As you come around the corner, this 6-inch wide band, all of a sudden, there's kind of the contact. All of a sudden, right in here, boom, you start seeing a bunch of tellurides. See all those gray tellurides? Here's your pay zone right here. Comes around the corner, right here, and this is where we started hitting all that super duper high grade. The tellurides band is very, very pronounced now. It's almost continuous across there, and you start seeing nice big gold in the face. Gold, gold. There's a bunch of it through here. I think I've shown you this before. And then right here, the telluride crystals get really, really big. See how big those are? I haven't washed this section down. I got ahead of myself, but I'm so excited. And once you do that, you start getting really, really big gold. See that? It's just sticking out of the wall there. I got to come back and make a video of me high grading that. But here's your pay. You've got, it kind of changes character here, which is a little bit interesting. I'll back up so you can see. You've got your telluride band here, and you can trace it all the way across. See that band right there? All the way across, right through there. But what happens is the stuff on the hanging wall and the footwall, you're starting to get a bunch of sulfides in there. And we've seen that when we were mining, where you get all this pyrrhotite down below. You got quite a bit of sulfides, but I think right there is where the pay is. Let me get it washed down a little bit better, and we'll take a real good look at some of this gold. So we've got our hanging wall coming across. I peeled off a big piece right here, right off our hanging wall zone. I'm going to go down and slab this thing right across through here, see if we can see if there's gold hanging out right a couple inches under this hanging wall. We are back down in the rock shop here. I'm super excited to take a couple slabs right across here. It's a little bit too big to fit in my rock saw, so I got to get a hammer and break it right off here so it'll fit. But let's get this guy chucked up. We'll see if we can find any gold right here under this flat contact we saw earlier in the mine. Let's see if I can do this without screwing up the whole thing. There we go. I think that will give us enough clearance. Well, that's a cool rock in itself. Probably slab that guy up as well. All right, we are all chucked up here in the saw. And again, the theory is this contact, and below it is our high grade pay. So hopefully as we slice down through here, somewhere in this zone, actually I think I see a real nice defined contact there. So somewhere right in here, we're expecting to see gold start coming in on the face. Let's see what we got under the hood. Well, they're coming off broken, which is a little bit too bad, but there's some nice looking sulfides there. Let me see if we can find any gold in this stuff. Well, this is just a beautiful piece of Mount Baker lightning quartz. But right down here by my thumb, right there's a little piece of gold. So we're starting to get into some visible gold, which is what we were expecting. I haven't seen anything huge yet, but on this side, about an inch away, you're getting gold right here as well. Yellow, there's some over here. So we are definitely in the zone, in the gold zone. Unfortunately, the slabs are breaking apart, so I'm getting 2 or 3 pieces that look like this. Hopefully the next slab will stay as one nice piece. But there's definitely gold right under that little slip, that slip line that we were seeing. So we are in the right spot. All right, here's our third slice. And these slabs just won't stay together, which is too bad. Again, we're still in the sulfides. So let me get these pieces here cleaned off, see if we have some more gold. And then we'll do another slice off of there. Well, there wasn't much left exciting in that rock after I slabbed a couple more pieces, but we got that really cool Mount Baker lightning quartz pieces off it. And I think that line, that slip that we're seeing in the vein, right below that 3 or 4 or 5 inches is where that really, really hot stuff is. Well, I've got rocks coming out my ears, and some of these are really, really good looking stuff. So on today's video, I'm gonna go after some really, really high grade gold in some of these. We're gonna slab these up, see if we can get any really nice samples. This is the stuff we're looking for, this banding here. This is the tellurides we have in our mine, and this is where the gold hangs out. So what I'm going to be doing today is taking pieces like this, and I'm going to cut right through that high grade zone and see if we can open up any really nice gold specimens in these things. I'm going to be using a couple of different rock saws, but this is an 18-inch piece I got off Craigslist. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters for this. You were the reason why I was able to get this rock saw. So let's get some stuff chucked up in this thing and let's find some gold. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, the key on this is it's gonna be cutting right through this high-grade band right here. This is where all the tellurides are, and this is where the gold is. So I've got to get it oriented in my vise, get right parallel with the blade. Now the trick is you get one chance at this per rock, and some of these that look really, really high grade sometimes don't have any visible gold in them, and some that may just have a little piece or two of tellurides on them, I'll cut them open and they'll be absolutely chock loaded with gold. We got it all set up. I'm going to shut it on. It's going to auto feed right through the saw. It takes just a few minutes. We'll get a nice fresh face on this and we'll see what it looks like. What do we got here? Yeah, there's some gold. Nice gold. We'll get out here in the sun where we can see a little bit better and away from a lot of noise. Here's the two halves. That one's got some nice gold in it there. But here's the other half, no gold. But it's got that really, really nice red oxidized tellurides that are a great indicator of gold in this ore. So the other half of that gold went in the kerf of the saw and is now in the oil in the machine. Here's another one of our saws. It's hard to tell. I pulled out a bunch of big pieces from the mine this year that I think have tellurides in them, but this is sulfide telluride band that we like. We're gonna get this chucked up and see if we can find any gold in this one. All right, let's see what we got here. What do we have? We got a bunch of sulfides, it looks like. All right, let's see what we have here. This one looks pretty good. Ooh, yeah, a lot of gold there. Ooh, good gold there. Look at that. Look at that gold. Man, that is a beautiful, beautiful piece. Get up close here, maybe. Gold all over that face, and pretty big pieces. Now the silver stuff is a telluride mineral, and there's gold associated with that chemically as well. So I think that the mineral is calaverite, something like that. Help me out in the pronunciation there. But so some of this probably has gold tellurides, and so it's not just the yellow that you see that's gold. There's also gold in the silver stuff. But also associated with the tellurium is bismuth. So you have tellurium bismuth, tellurium gold, and then free gold, all within an inch of each other. So that's a nice piece. Well, I have to admit, I'm a little bit nervous here. I've got, this just huge, massive wire right there. I've got a lot of little specks down here. I think a huge majority of this stuff right in here is all that gold telluride. You can see maybe that it's a little bit yellow shining all through there. So I think this is mostly gold. On the back side here, there's gold back in here. There's gold back over here. So I don't want to screw it up, but I want to cut it in the orientation that'll give us the most show. Okay, cross your fingers for me here. I got it clamped so the valuable piece is in the vise. So when this piece drops off, if it breaks or whatever, that's okay. That's kind of the waste. So let's close the lid. Turn it on. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see if my plan worked. Here's our bottom piece. What do we got up in here? That looks kind of interesting. Here's our gold. I think I'm going to try and maybe I'll try and take a couple slices along here and leave the final gold stand up like that. Well, here's what I came up with. I've got my band of hot stuff kind of running down around the corner. The piece of gold is back over here. I'm just going to shave 2 or 3 pieces off of here. I'm going to intersect the band as best I can. Okay, 2 things here. Let's hope it didn't break. Let's hope it has some gold in it. Oh, well, it broke. Ooh, it's got some gold in it though. Whoa. Okay, I'm actually going to close the lid. It's not quite done cutting, but man, oh man, that's a piece right there. Okay. There's definitely some gold in there, but it's not as good looking as the other face. So let's take another slab off of there. So I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch slab off, figuring that somebody might want to make cabochons out of this. And I'm going to try and keep this wire gold tellurium stuff. And it looks like the saw is actually going to slab right through it. We'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Big experiment with my most valuable piece. Well, here's that first little piece I got off a rich rock. And it looks like wires. This mine apparently is known for wires. If it gets into the bigger gold, you get some of this wire stuff going on, and you know, the kerf of the blade took out a ton of gold. But there's a bunch of little pieces down here. If you get small pieces, they're just little tiny nuggets, I guess. And the bigger pieces seem to be kind of chunks of wire. But on the surface, it's fairly unremarkable. There's a little piece of gold there. But you'd never expect to cut the rock open and see big wire gold like that from the surface here. Here's our second slab off our high grade. It broke again, which is unfortunate. But look at the size of that gold. And so, let me get it cleaned off, but I think all of this is gold right here. It's just maybe covered with tellurium. Wow. Well, there's what we've got. Quite a nice piece of gold there. This dark gray stuff, I believe, is all gold coated in tellurides, because when you look at this piece right here, when you turn it over, it's gold where the saw cut it. And what I'd like to do, I've never done this before, people have told me about this, but I think Vogus Prospecting has done this on one of his videos, where he takes sodium hydroxide, boils it in water in a stainless steel bowl, puts the quartz sample in it, and it eats the quartz away and leaves the wire gold standing up proud to the surface. And so this might be a good piece to try that on. It also might clean up a lot of this gold that has the gray on it. So if you guys think that's a good idea, leave me a comment down below and we'll try it. But also, as you can see, that slab broke when I was washing it off, washing the oil off, so I just have this little piece left. But these are the biggest pieces of gold I've ever found in this mine, hands down. I mean, those are little nuggets. And so whatever happened geologically in that spot, we want to find more of that. Oh, it broke. Dang it. And definitely some gold there. So let me get this guy washed off a little bit and we'll see what we got. Well, here's a last look at our standout pieces. Here's that wire gold we found right on the wall. Harry and I did underground. And the cut face definitely has some gold in it. There's a little piece right there that, well, actually probably a big piece in the quartz. But nothing too spectacular on that cut face. And we have, you know, the standout pieces from before. I showed you that one. Gold, smaller gold there. And we have the matching piece to that, which has that gold piece there by my thumb. Some gold here as well. But look at these tellurium crystals right there. If that's actually calaverite, that is massively loaded with gold. I think it's over half gold by weight. And so that would be a nice little pocket if that's what that is. I'm not really familiar with that stuff yet. I played around with it a little bit. I've roasted some and had gold show up on the surface after it's roasted. So that's kind of a new discovery for me, that you're able to roast that stuff and get the gold out. But that could be a huge amount of gold right there in these pockets. And then here's that very first piece we had with the little wire gold on it. So that's the kind of stuff we're getting from our gold mine.